Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight to talk a little bit about beach volleyball and the youth beach volleyball system that Volleyball BC offers throughout the summer. Before we start, I would just like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I recognize and respect the many diverse Indigenous nations across British Columbia whose lands we're connecting from today, and I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the land that you're on and the Indigenous peoples who've lived in a relationship with it for countless generations. As we get going through the evening, we're going to cover a few topics. You can see the agenda on your screen here. We will talk about what the tournament series is, how to prepare for the season, registrations, rankings and results for tournaments, what happens when you show up to play. We have some FAQs. There will be some time for other questions throughout the webinar. And at the end, if you'd like, I have a walkthrough of how to register for beach tournaments in Sport Lomo that we can go through if you'd like us to stick around for that. If you do have any questions tonight, please drop them into the chat. Make sure that you're sending them to everyone, panelists and attendees, so that everybody can see your questions. And I'll pop in there every once in a while, every time we finish the section, and see if there's any questions that we need to answer. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Oh, I see some hands. One sec. Okay, let's do this. Not seeing any messages in the chat. I'm assuming that it is not available right now. Hold on one sec. Hmm. Why? I think the chat should be available now if somebody wants to give it a try. Apologies for that. I thought I had turned it on. Somebody asked how long this will be. I hope not very long. I hope it's a short one. So I will jump back into the presentation and we will get started. Okay. So, sorry, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Adrian Goodmurphy. I am the head of programs and pathways with Volleyball BC, and I oversee all of the technical delivery of volleyball programs across the province. So, youth indoor club, adult recreational volleyball, high performance, youth beach volleyball, youth grassroots, and so on. So, if it has to do with volleyball, then I am involved with it. And happy to be here to share a little bit about beach volleyball with you this evening. A little bit about Volleyball BC. We are the provincial governing body for volleyball in British Columbia. We're a nonprofit society and are accredited by Via Sport, who is the provincial sport governing body. We do have a vision of powering lifelong passion for volleyball and a mission to lead, facilitate, and deliver quality volleyball experiences throughout the province. So just a quick little note about our VBC Beach Volleyball Tournament Series. This series was created to provide an opportunity for athletes to compete against other athletes from around their regions and across the province in tournaments throughout BC. It is played on 2 players per team. We do have it available for all of the same ages that we offer in our indoor club system. 12U Girls is new this year for us. And each team is independent. You do not need to be part of a club. So you can just go ahead and register with a friend to come and play. So speaking of indoor club, is it the same? It is not. You play in teams of two, not six. There are no substitutions. So you are on the court all the time with your partner playing. You need to register yourself, whereas indoor, your club team does it for you. As I mentioned before, each team is independent. You do not need to be part of a club. The courts are smaller. It's 8 meters by 8 meters per side, not 9 meters by 9 meters. You also have to referee matches when you're not playing. So that is much different than indoor. And because it's outside, you are dealing with weather and sand. And we do get some varied weather, and there is definitely a lot of sand. So, some questions for new people joining beach volleyball. What am I getting myself into? So, the Youth Beach Volleyball Tournament Series runs May to August. It starts at the end of May and runs until early August, unless you're planning to play in the Volleyball Canada National Championships, which runs at the end of August. Most of our tournaments are single day events. You show up in the morning and play until late in the afternoon. Our provincial championships are 2-day events. We always host those at Spanish Banks, but we are running out of room and are looking at other options to expand to other areas in the province to accommodate more teams. And national championships are hosted in Toronto for all ages, including adults. And in Vancouver, we host a Western National Championship for 14U to 16U athletes. And again, that's hosted at Spanish Banks. So what else are you getting yourself into? I don't want to understate the amount of sand that you're going to gather when you play beach volleyball. You'll find it everywhere. It'll be in your car, it'll be in your house, it'll be in your shower, it'll be everywhere. We all play in all types of weather, so we will have nice sunny days, but we will also have rainy days, and at some point we will have some very hot sunny days. Early mornings, you need to be at the beach early when tournaments are starting, although I guess there is, not much better place you could be on a sunny morning than at the beach. And you will likely end up buying a tent of some kind, or you'll make a friend that has one. The elements do play a part in beach volleyball, and a tent is helpful. And I did want to reiterate, there's a lot of sand. So a quick note about where the tournaments are. We host tournaments in 4 regions, primarily in the Lower Mainland, the Okanagan, Vancouver Island, and in the North. In the North, we only run a high school beach open, and we'll talk about those tournaments in a little bit. I also want you to note the abbreviations beside each of the locations, LM for Lower Mainland, OK for Okanagan, and so on. You will find those abbreviations in the registration system when you go to register, and you want to make sure that you're registering in the right event. So if you're looking for an Okanagan event, please do not register in one that has LM in front of it. Just going to pause there for a second. It looks like there may be a few questions. Okay, a couple things. This is being recorded, so you will be able to listen at another time if you can't listen to the whole thing. This is mostly about tournaments in the Volleyball BC Tournament Series, although if you'd like to stick around when we get to the question part at the end, I'm happy to answer any questions that people might have about beach volleyball in general, classes that you might want to take, or training opportunities that might exist for you. We will talk about registration and partnership in a little bit. We'll talk about registration in a little bit. There is a question about the high school beach open, and I will definitely answer that when we get to that portion as well. Okay. Let's go back to the presentation here. So, a little bit of information, more acronyms. We have abbreviations for everything. So if you ever hear the term HSBO, that is called the High School Beach Open. You have to play with someone from your high school or in your catchment. If you're going into a high school and you're playing in the grade 8 tournament, you have to play with someone that you're going into the same high school with. You cannot play with someone from a different high school. If you see the abbreviations SS with a number after them, that stands for our SAND series. Those are our standard one-day tournaments, and they're held in each region. The number only indicates the order that they're being played in. So SAND series number 1 is the first tournament, SAND series number 2 is the second tournament, and SAND series number 3 is the third tournament. We also have Youth Van Open, which is the youth tournament associated with the Vancouver Open Pro Beach Tournament. It's held at Kits Beach every year. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Youth Van Open in a little bit, but that is an option for athletes to participate in. Lots of people ask if they need to qualify to play in tournaments or in the tournament series. The answer is no, and yes, sort of. It depends on the tournament. So there is no qualification process for the High School Beach Open, the Sand Series, or provincial championships. You can just register into those events and participate as normal. The Youth Vancouver Open does have qualification. That is based on points for entry, although we do reserve a certain number of spots so that teams can play in a qualification tournament prior to the tournament. And then the winners of that qualification event would get into the main draw of the Youth Vancouver Open. And the only other requirement is that if you want to play in national championships, you also have to play in a provincial championship. Do you need a membership to play? The answer is yes and no. So you have to have either a competitive player membership, which you would have purchased if you play indoor club, or a recreational player membership if you have not participated in any Volleyball BC competitions or events this year, except for the High School Beach Open. The High School Beach Open does not require any membership to participate. We keep that one open because we recognize that there are lots of participants from around the province that only play in that event. So we don't require them to have a membership. They will have to fill out a form that sort of identifies them and sign a waiver, but there's no membership requirement for the High School Beach Open. Okay, any questions from here? No new questions. How much do our tournaments cost? So our High School Beach Open, our Sand Series, and the Youth Vancouver Open cost $100 per team. Provincial championships is $120 per team, and national championships in Vancouver, $258 if you register by June 30th, and $287 if you register after June 30th. So lots of people that are starting beach volleyball come out and they ask, what do I wear? There's always questions about the uniform. Do I have to wear a swimsuit? Do I have to wear a bikini? You do not. You can wear whatever you are most comfortable in. Typically, people will wear shorts and a t-shirt, but you can wear whatever is comfortable for you. We do suggest that you dress for the weather. So if it's cold out, you can wear leggings and you can wear long sleeve shirts. I don't suggest cotton if it is cold and wet because it gets very heavy and stays wet, but definitely you can wear what is most comfortable for you. It does not need to be a uniform. Uniforms are not required at Volleyball BC tournaments. And we do recommend, though, that partners try to have matching tops and bottoms. It looks good. It makes you look like a team, but it's not required if you don't have that with your partner, or if you're changing up partners and you don't have your new partner doesn't have one, that's okay. Lots of people ask us about knee pads and shoes. You do not need to wear them. It's not typical that people would wear knee pads on the beach, and neither are shoes. Some people do choose to wear sand socks. It's a neoprene sock that you wear, and it helps with cold and heat. So if it's cold and wet, it'll keep your feet warmer. And if the sand's really hot, it'll help cool them down. What else do you need to think about? When you're going to play, you definitely want to take care of the things that are going to take care of you. So you want to make sure you have sunscreen, you want your water bottle, you want a towel and sunglasses and a hat and extra clothes. You're going to get sandy and dirty and messy, and at some point you're going to want to go home and you're probably not going to want to wear all your sandy, dirty clothes in your car. So maybe some extra clothes. I did note volleyball here. We do have volleyballs available when you check in for people to borrow to play, but that's not an unlimited supply, and so we do run out from time to time. So if you do have your own beach volleyball, I would suggest bringing it with you for the competition. What else do you need to consider? So there's some other items on here: coolers and tents and chairs and blankets and umbrellas. Those are all for your personal comfort. And the more you play beach volleyball, the more of those things you are likely to own. So just some things to consider when you're getting ready to head down to the beach. So after all that, you've checked all that stuff out and you're like, I think this sounds like a good idea and I still want to play. What do I have to do? So the first thing you need to do is find a partner. This could be a friend, could be a sibling, it could be a friend of a friend. You can have the same partner for every event, or you could have a different partner for every tournament. That's okay. It doesn't need to be the same for the entire summer. If you sign up with one partner and you start playing with one partner, you need to remain with that partner for the entire tournament. There are no substitutions during the tournament. The next thing you need to do is take a look at the competition schedule, or sorry, the competition calendar to find the events that you'd like to register in. I did send an email out to everybody prior to the webinar that included some materials, and the competition calendar was one of the items that I linked to in there, so you can take a look at the competition calendar. It is also posted on our website in the beach volleyball section. And then after you find the tournaments that you want to play in and you've agreed with your partner, you can go ahead and register into tournaments. I'm just going to take a look and see if there's any questions in the chat. Okay. So there was a question about high school beach open. That was in the same catchment. That was specifically if you were moving into high school. So you're going from grade 7 to grade 8. You both have to be heading into the same high school, even though you might not be in the same elementary school. Registration deadline is close to tournament day, and I will talk a little bit about registration here, but tournaments do fill up. So you will want to make sure that you register early if you can, if you know there's tournaments that you want to get into. Registration is going to open on, and I bet that's the next slide, is going to open on the 14th. There are no minimum number of tournaments that you need to register in for provincials, but we'll talk about rankings and points and how teams are slotted into tournaments here in a second. Okay, tournament registration. Got ahead of myself here. Registration opens on April 14th. That's next Monday. So take a look at the competition calendar. I also linked in the Youth Outdoor Handbook, which gives you rules around what you need to know, things you need to do, what's required when you are at a tournament, that type of thing, including how results are tabulated and points work. So definitely take a look at that. Tournaments are first come, first serve, and they do fill up, especially as we move into the summer. Tournaments tend to fill up really quickly. And some of our tournaments in the Okanagan, we have way less courts available to us there. So there's definitely more limited spots available in those events. So if you know there's a tournament you want into, please register as soon as possible. Okay, so how are teams ranked? So we're going to talk a little bit here about points and how you get into tournaments and where you end up seated within a tournament. There is a points table in the outdoor handbook, and we keep a running tally that we'll talk about of points that athletes gain through the season. So how are teams ranked? So you've registered into a tournament. Now what? So we take that information in for their registration information for each age group, and we apply a ranking to each team. So we have a point structure that's outlined in the handbook to rank the teams into an order. Teams with more points get ranked higher, and teams with less points are ranked lower. So you can see on the screen here, it says the more points that a team has, the higher the ranking. And for the first year of the season, we'll use the points from the previous year. If you don't have any points from the previous year, you'll just get slotted in below all of the athletes or teams that already have points. And then for all subsequent tournaments, so if you play in the very first tournament of the year, you're going to earn some points, and then that point total will travel with you for the rest of the season, and then we will use that point total to rank you into subsequent tournaments. So how do you get points? You earn points by playing in youth tournaments. Everything is involved in playing volleyball. You get points. Your points are earned based on your results. So if you play more and you get a higher result, you'll get more points. Okay, players earn points as a team, but maintain them individually. So if you earn 500 points as a team based on your result, each player will get 500 points, and you will maintain that point total through the season. Ooh, that's in the wrong spot. Again, higher finishes, more points. Points are scaled depending on the tournament size. So if you are in a tournament in the Lower Mainland and there's 30 athletes or 30 teams in the tournament, you are going to get 100% of the points that could be allocated to that tournament. If you're in a much smaller tournament that might have 8 teams or 10 teams in it, you're going to get a percentage of those points. And again, that's outlined in the outdoor handbook. And primarily that's so it is equitable across the different regions that have different sizes of tournaments so that you don't have one tournament that only has 4 teams in it and every team is getting a lot of points. Athletes that play in a Team BC indoor program are awarded points. So these are athletes that are typically playing indoor throughout most of the summer and don't have an opportunity to play outdoor. But then by the time their indoor season ends, it comes up to provincial championships, and we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to be ranked somewhat according to their skill level. And so we do give some Team BC athletes some points. And then athletes that compete in the adult beach tour events that Volleyball BC runs are also awarded points based on their finish. So if you have athletes that do play in those points, there is a mechanism for them to get youth points based on their results. Just going to jump back over to the chat here. It looks like there's a bunch of questions. Okay. So age groups. You can play, partners do not have to be the same age. They can be either a whatever age within the youth age category. So anywhere from 12U to 18U, you would play in the age group of the oldest partner. So if one partner was 16U and one partner was 14U, you would play in the 16U event. Siblings can play together if they're older and younger. Brothers and sisters can play again together as well. If you did have a brother-sister combo, you would play in the boys division. What do we have here? Individual registration with programs with clubs. So that's directly with the club. You do training with club, and I did have a note in here somewhere about clubs, but typically clubs provide training opportunities, and they will support you with tournaments. So they can provide coaching at tournaments or some guidance on how to register because they've been in the system for a while. But you would still be responsible for registering yourself. The clubs do not do that for you. High school tournament, grade 9 can play with a grade 12 for that tournament, and they would register as a grade 12 team. Points. So again, a team earns points based on their results. So again, if a team was to earn 500 points based on their result, 500 points go to each player, and then those points stay with the player for the balance of the season. And if you have more finishes, then you add on to that total as you go. Yes, apologize about the April 8th listed on the schedule that was sent out. That was delayed. There was supposed to be another message that went out that said it was being changed to the 14th. We'll make sure another email goes out just confirming that. So yes, the registration date should be the 14th. 17 you boy participate in national championships in Vancouver. So we do use the extended age categories for beach volleyball. So that's a 16-month window, September 1st of the previous year to December 31st of the current year. If your age category falls within that window, you would be able to play in the 16U category. There is no 17U category at Beach Nationals in Vancouver. You would have to go to Toronto if you wanted to play in that age category. For the high school tournament, you're playing in the grade that you're coming from. So if you were in grade 8 this year, then you would play in the grade 8 tournament. If you switch partners for a different tournament, you take the points with you. So each athlete maintains their own points. So you would add your points to your new partner's points, and you would get a new total for ranking. Age for adult tournaments, that's a great question. I just had this conversation with someone earlier today. It depends. It depends on the athletes. So we have had young athletes that have participated in the adult beach tour and have had quite a bit of success. Typically, athletes younger than 16, you probably wouldn't wouldn't have success on the tour, but it's definitely worth a conversation if you have athletes that are committed to beach and have had success at beach. You can reach out to your regional manager and you can have a conversation with them around whether that would be appropriate for you or not. Points do not help with recruiting for post-secondary. They are internal to Volleyball BC only. You cannot register as an individual for the tournament. You have to sign up with a partner. So the question was, can you register alone or do you need to register with a partner? You definitely need to register with a partner for each event. There's a lot of questions here. So someone was asking, what happens if one partner has points from a previous year and their new partner doesn't? We just take all the total points and we add them together. So if partner A has 1,000 points and partner B has 0 points, that team together for the tournament has 1,000 points, and we'll match that up with with all of the other athletes and teams that are registered, and we'll come up with a ranking out of that. Question about clubs submitting online applications. Yeah, so you only need to register as a club if you want to have a club and you want to provide training and potentially be covered by Volleyball BC's insurance. There are some requirements. You have to make sure that everybody in your club does person and authority checks, and you have to register with us. And there are some other costs that go along with it. So if you're just a group of kids that are out playing for fun, you don't need to be a part of a club. But if you want to start a club, I would say reach out to your regional manager again, and they will help you start through that process. So this question's come up a couple times about school catchment for the high school beach open. It doesn't mean the same school district. So I live in Richmond and we have a whole bunch of schools in Richmond. And so Richmond is one school district, but if there are kids that are going to McMath secondary, they could not play with a team or with someone going to McRoberts. They would have to play with someone from McMath. Okay, lots of questions there. We're going to move along. The next slide. Okay, so I've covered some of these, but now that you earn points, so you've finished a tournament and you've collected some points, what do you do with them? You don't have to do anything. You just keep playing and you collect more. Points will rank you for the next tournament that you play in. So more points, again, equals a higher ranking. We take player 1 points, we add them to player 2 points. You'll get a total, and then we'll compare those against all the other teams in the tournament, and the highest point total goes to the top and the lowest goes to the bottom. The points are used when we're determining direct entry into the Youth Vancouver Open. So 75% of the slots in the main draw for the Youth Vancouver Open come from points. So again, because there's a limited number of spots, it is a little bit more challenging to get into that event. So those points are used to determine who should get in. And again, still more points. How do I know how many points I have? So Volleyball BC keeps a running tally of points that are earned at each tournament. There will be a public document available to view players and their points. We have a document that literally has thousands of athletes between girls and boys on it, and we are going to put that in a usable, readable format so people are able to figure out how many points they have and where they earned those points. It is not public yet, but it will be before the start of the season. Okay, so you've registered for tournaments, you understand how you've been ranked, you're ready to go. The next thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a pre-tournament email. So we're going to send out information to you before the tournament, and that email is going to give you all the information you need to know about the tournament. So there will be age group information. Sometimes we'll have some teams play on, or some age groups play on a Saturday and some play on a Sunday, or some will play in the morning and some will play in the afternoon. So you're going to get that information. You're going to get a location confirmation. Which beach are you playing at? You're going to get the check-in time. What time do you need to be there to check in to let Volleyball BC know you're there and ready to play? There'll be information about a players meeting. So at every beach volleyball tournament, there is always a players meeting where all the players come together and the tournament coordinator will share information that you need to know for the tournament. There will be a tournament start time. So what time does the first game start? There will be venue specific information. So things like parking considerations or washrooms or where to get water, those types of things. And you may also get other reminders about future tournaments or other programming that Volleyball BC is offering or other promotions that might be happening along the way. I did not mention the draw, and people will always ask, where's the draw? So the draw will be posted at the beach in the morning of the tournament. So we do not send draws out prior to the tournament. The pre-tournament email provides you with all the information that you need to know for your arrival at the beach. The reason that we don't send the draw out early is because there are always teams that register late, or there's always teams that withdraw in the week leading up to the tournament. And in fact, we often have teams that show up or that don't show up at all for the tournament. They're just no-shows, even though they registered and paid for the event. And so this means we know the draw is going to change, and sometimes it changes multiple times. So to avoid confusion and make sure nobody has an incorrect version of the draw or an incorrect schedule, we just wait and we post it in the morning. And we have done this for a number of years. And it works, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, because I know if you've played indoor, you're used to seeing the draw a little bit ahead of time. Fortunately, with our beach tournaments, especially if they're one day, you know you're going to a specific beach and you're going to be there for the entire day. And the schedule has your athlete or child playing or refereeing pretty much the entire day. I'm just going to take a quick look into the chat here. Parents do not, the question, do parents need any PIA checks done? They do not. It is only coaches in clubs. However, if you are acting as a coach for your child's team, you will need to have a PIA check done. So if you want to act as a coach and be able to access the team on the court, you will have to have a PIA check done. Can an Okanagan athlete team sign up for Lower Mainland High School Beach Open? That's a great question. I imagine you could. I don't think we've ever had anybody ask that question. It is not specific to a specific region. So I guess I would say yes, an Okanagan team could sign up for a Lower Mainland Beach event. I did say 12U age category was new this year. It did not make it onto the competition calendar, but it will. It will be there tomorrow. I just need to talk to our regional managers and make sure that they have them on the appropriate day. We will talk, I don't know, maybe will I talk about that? Do both partners need to register separately, or do you register once? And so one partner will register the team by themselves. So one partner will register the team. And we'll talk a little bit about that at the end when we go through the Sport Lomo registration. But essentially, once you've added players to your team, they're going to receive an email that said you've been added to a team, and then they can go and accept their position on that team. And so one person registers, and then both of the partners have to confirm that they are part of that team. Someone asked, is a coach required? A coach is not required. I don't even know if a coach is common. Lots of teams, some teams may have coaches if they're part of a club. Part of the services that clubs will provide to teams is they'll send a coach to tournaments to watch athletes and provide feedback for them. Coaching is a little bit different in beach volleyball. Indoor volleyball, you have a coach that sits on the side of the court and can talk to their team, and they can give instructions, and they can call timeouts, and they can do a lot of things to interact with their team. In beach volleyball, it is completely different. There is no coaching while play is happening. Coaches can't call timeouts. Coaches can't give instruction. Coaches can't argue calls. It is all up to the players. The coaches can talk to their players during timeouts and in between sets are the only times that a coach is allowed to talk to their team during a beach volleyball game. Someone did make a point, ensure your child's name is spelled correctly on all entries if you care about points. That is correct. We do run into some issues, and we will talk about this a little bit more in sport when we get to the Sport Lomo section. But if you are filling out the name of your partner when you're adding them to your team, you do want to make sure that you are using their correct name and not an abbreviated name or a nickname. That rarely goes well when it comes to points. If a team enters a 12U or 13U for the season but want to play in a provincial or nationals, can they play up as 14U? As that's the only age category offered there. Yes, they can. Provincials will have an age category for 12U and 13U, but nationals is 14U. So you would have to play up into that category. I do think, if I remember correctly, that nationals tends to take teams that are of the birth date first and then will allow other teams in afterwards. So if you're a 13U team, you might not get, they may let 14U teams in first until all those teams have registered and then the 13U team will get in. I can't remember for beach volleyball. It's that's what they do for indoor, but beaches could be a little bit different. Do teams come up with a team name? You do not. Your team name is the last name of each player on the team. So if it's John Smith and Jane Doe, the team name will be named Smith Doe. And we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like in the registration section. Can you clarify if a player needs to purchase a beach membership if they've already paid for an indoor competitive club membership for the season? You do not need any additional membership if you have an indoor competitive club membership. That is enough to get you through the beach season. High School Beach Open. High School Beach Open, the question is, do you need to register through the school or get the school coach involved, or do you register by team? Our High School Beach Open is independent from the school system. So even though it is the High School Beach Open, it has nothing really to do with the school system at all. It isn't endorsed by BC School Sports. It isn't endorsed by the schools. You are just representing your school at our tournament. Okay, that's everything in the chat. I'm going to talk a little bit just quickly about formats. We have different formats that we use within our tournaments, just so that you're aware. For our single day tournaments, because we don't have the same number of teams competing in each age category every weekend, we often end up with odd numbers of teams in each tournament. So when this happens, we will adjust the pool play format and schedule to ensure that teams are able to receive a minimum number of sets for the tournament. So, for example, if you're in a pool of 3, you might play a best 2 out of 3 match. And if you're in a pool of 4, each match, quote unquote, will be 1 set to 25. And so the reason that we do that is so we can control the time of the day, because we obviously only have 1 day to play the tournaments and we want to make sure that we finish. But also just to make sure that everybody gets a minimum amount of game time when they're playing. Provincial championships always runs in a 2-day format. It's a waived event with teams playing in the morning and then a new group comes in the afternoon. It's a pool play on day 1, which is our full best 2 of 3 matches. And on day 2 is best of 2 of 3 matches with a full elimination playoff bracket. And all teams are guaranteed a minimum of 5 matches, but usually you'll get 6 based on the draws. National Championships runs on a 3-day format. They'll do a pool play on day 1, then they'll take all the teams and repool them into power pools on day 2, and then day 3 will be a single elimination playoff bracket. Okay, so just moving forward a little bit, you've got your pre-tournament email. You understand that the draw isn't coming out until you get to the beach. You've got yourself organized and packed up. What do you do now? It's tournament day. So my suggestions: for most tournaments, especially in Vancouver, you want to arrive early to claim your parking spot. Parking is an adventure at the best of times at Spanish Banks, especially when we have hundreds of people coming down to play beach volleyball. So you do want to get there early. It's a little bit less congested in the Okanagan and in Parksville, but you still want to arrive early and then claim your spot. You want to go take a look, find out where you're playing, and then pick a spot to set up. You're going to be there for the entire day. So make sure that you might not want to be sitting right beside the bathroom if that's where you are, or maybe you don't want to be sitting, on the other side of the beach from the court that you're playing on. So make sure that you get the appropriate spot. Check in at the Volleyball BC tent. So refer to your tournament email that you got beforehand for check-in times, and then come and check in. Volleyball BC strongly encourages athletes to check in without their parents. We like to promote independency within the beach volleyball environment. And so if you do come with your child to check in, then I would encourage them to be the one that talks to the coordinator or the people doing the checking in at the tournament. Part of beach volleyball is just learning to be independent and advocate for yourself and understand how the tournament works. And so parents, if you do get involved asking questions, you might get someone asking you just to step back and bring your athlete forward and have them ask the questions so we can help them through the process and learn how the system works. You're going to locate the court map and check out the draw. We will have a court map for our events that shows where each age group is playing. So that's going to help you claim your spot in step 2 up there. Once everybody's checked in and we're ready to go, there will be a players meeting. We'll bring everybody together. We will go over the rules. We'll give them some logistical information. We'll give them lots of reminders around what's going to happen during the day. The refereeing teams will then come and pick up their flip cards and score sheets. We've talked about refereeing, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit here. And then if you are one of the playing teams or refereeing teams in the first match, you're going to head to your court, start your warm-up, and when the whistle blows, you're going to start playing, and the games will start, and they won't stop until they're all done. So games just continue one right after each other on the court. So just things to remember throughout the day. Know when you play a referee. This is probably the most important thing. We have teams every year that go and they sit down in the spot that they claimed earlier, and they don't watch their court, and we go looking for teams and we can't find them, and teams end up defaulting if they're not ready to play. So know when you play. If you're unsure, come and ask the draw board. We have the schedule posted. Come and ask them for help. They will tell you if you play, and if you ask, they will tell you if you're supposed to referee. What we normally tell all of our athletes at the beach, that before you leave the beach to do anything, come back to the board and ask if you're supposed to play or referee. If you miss a refereeing assignment, there are fines. And if you miss a playing assignment, there are fines, and you'll have to pay those fines before you play in your next tournament. So again, I can't stress this enough. Everybody wants to be able to play beach volleyball. So let's make sure that we know when we play. The second one that goes along with that is be on time for your games. You may know when you play, but if you take 15 minutes to get there from your seat, people are going to be unhappy. So make sure that you're on time for your games. There's only about 5 minutes for warm up in between matches before the next match starts. And then lastly, you are responsible for recording and reporting your scores. Make sure that you do so. If you don't report a score, or if you don't check to make sure that the score is correct and it recorded incorrectly because it was written down wrong on the score sheet, it becomes very difficult to fix later in the day. So make sure that you're recording and reporting your scores properly. Okay, I'm going to go do this last section, then I'll go back to the chat. So I did say that players had to referee. This is a thing that we do in beach volleyball. It's part of the beach volleyball culture. It has been around forever, primarily because when people go down to the beach to play, they don't always have a referee around. And also, we have 36 courts at Spanish Banks, and it would be almost impossible to get referees to stand around on every court to referee those matches. So we have player referees. Some people love it. They love being a referee. Some don't, but we all have to do it nonetheless. So both players should be available to referee and score keep each match that they're assigned to. You can get away with one referee. The referee would also have to be the scorekeeper. Typically that happens if there's an injury or if the other partner is unavailable for some reason. In extenuating circumstances, we will allow a parent or a friend to be a scorekeeper of a match. As a referee, you need to make sure that you're starting the match on time and that the score is correct. Those are the two biggest things you have to do as a referee. I know that there's probably lots of parents out there a little bit worried about their child being a referee, and maybe they don't know what they're supposed to do. That's okay. You'll learn, and that's part of why we do this, because it does help you become a better volleyball player, to help you become a better beach volleyball referee as well. Your job is also to call any faults that you see. So net touches and ball handling and foot faults, etc. In the pre-email that I sent out right before this, and also on our website, we have a bit of a cheat sheet around the rules so athletes can review it, so they can see what the rules are that they should be paying attention to. And I get that there will be different standards. An 18-year-old that's been in the system for 5 years is going to referee way different than a 12 or 13U athlete that's playing for the first time. That's okay. We expect that. lots of times we just want the kids to play. We tell the kids that the players on the court are going to make way more mistakes than you will as a referee. So just take a deep breath and do your best. And if all else fails, we do have referee supervisors that are on the beach. They are there to support the referees that are reffing those matches. They will not step in and make a call for a referee. They will not step in and say, oh, you should have called a foot fault or you should have called a double contact. They won't do that. But they are there if someone has a question about a rule, so an interpretation about a rule, or they will, oops, too far. Or they will step in if there is a code of conduct issue. So if a team is getting upset and they're yelling at the referees, or if the parents are getting on the referees, the referee supervisor will step in to support those referees that are on that specific court. Let me just take a look at the chat. Okay, is there a minimum number of competitions to be played in order to participate in provincials? There is not. You could play, the only tournament you could play in for the entire year could be provincials. Again, I would just refer you back to the points document. So if you don't have any points, you'll be ranked at the bottom. And if you have lots of points, you'll be ranked at the top. So if you're worried about rankings or how you fit in, then you'll want to play in some additional tournaments. But if you don't really care about that and provincials is the only one that you can register in or want to register in, then that is okay. Are there practices or just tournaments? It will be my daughter's first time. So we do not run practices. We only run tournaments. We would suggest if you were looking for something like that to check out beach clubs in your area. We do have a section on our website for beach clubs that is currently unpopulated. So once clubs register with us, we will populate that with beach clubs in the area. I'm sure that if you ask around, people will be able to direct you to some. There was some in the chat earlier about Lower Mainland beach clubs, Thunder and PCVC and Side Out, and there's some in the Okanagan and on the island. I know there's a couple starting up as well. So if you are stuck, contact your regional manager and they can help direct you to a club. How can new players get involved in beach volleyball on Vancouver Island? Again, contact your regional manager and they can direct you. There are a few, not a lot, but there are a few clubs on the island. And now that Victoria does have some additional beach volleyball courts, there is more training happening on the lower island. There was always quite a bit with the Mariners up in Nanaimo, and Parksville has the large beach courts further, a little further north. Let's see, player 15. If you are 15 now, you are 15U for beach. That is correct. The age group does not change just because we've transitioned into the summer. Practices. Can you move up or down in an age category? Is there any flexibility with that? So it'll show up in the FAQs on the next page, but we actually encourage kids to play up. So if you're a really good team and you can't get the competition that you need at 13U or 14U, then we would encourage you to play in an older age category, and it is completely open to do that. And can I play in one tourney with one friend and another tourney with a different friend? Absolutely. You do not need to stick with the same partner for the entire summer. You can have a different partner for every single tournament of the year if you want. That is totally fine. Okay, we will pop back over here. So I just made a quick list of some frequently asked questions that we hear. Also, some of these came in earlier when you registered. We'll run through them quickly, although you can also read them. Do you have to register with a partner? Yes, absolutely. You need a partner to register. You cannot register as an individual. Do I have to join a beach club? You do not, but you can. If you join a beach club, you'll get more training, and most of the coaches that you will have are very experienced and will help you progress in the sport of beach volleyball. Do you need a coach? You do not need a coach. You can just get together and play. In fact, lots of kids do not have a coach. They just show up at tournaments and play because it's fun, and that's totally fine. Can I get a refund if I withdraw? It depends on when you withdraw, and if you look in the handbook that I sent out, it will show you the withdrawal and refund component. Essentially, if you withdraw prior to the registration deadline, you'll get a refund minus a small administration fee. If it's after the deadline, there's no refund. And if you don't show at the tournament, there's no refund and you get fined. So pay attention to the withdrawal and refund policy. If your partner's injured, can you still play? Yes, depending on when it happens, though, you may need to contact Volleyball BC. So if it's before the registration deadline, you'll be able to edit your roster within Sport Lomo. So you can go in and remove the partner that you originally registered with, and you can add the new partner. If it's within the week of the tournament, then you're going to want to contact the regional manager where the tournament's being held, just to let them know that you have a new partner. If it's the day of the tournament and you don't have a partner and you show up and you said my partner hurt themselves yesterday, you'll end up having to withdraw. I would suggest emailing the regional manager in advance to let them know, or as soon as you know, so that he can make or she can make the appropriate changes. Can I play up in an older age category? 100%. Pick the category that best fits for you playing up. And if you're within the 16-month age window, you can utilize that as well. So if you're 16 years old, but you're born in October, you could play in a 15U tournament. We always get questions around what happens if it's raining. So we play rain or shine on the beach. There isn't really a safety issue with playing in the rain. The sand is not slippery like grass is, so you don't fall down in it. But we will suspend play if there is thunder and lightning. So if we see that, we will either cancel the tournament if it looks like it's going to run all day, or we will suspend play. Typically, we'll send people off to their cars to hang out for a bit, and then when it passes, we will resume the tournament. Let me just take a quick look in the chat again. So if you have two team members who go to different high schools but are in the same high school catchment, so one player transferred to a different high school but still lives in the same catchment, they still can't play together. They have to attend the same high school. Will I post or send out slides? I will make this available for everyone following the webinar, so you'll be able to review and take a look. I'm also available if you have questions. Same thing with your regional managers that I sent out in the original email about the webinar. You can always reach out to them. The provincials dates will be released very soon. The reason that we didn't put a date on there is because we are looking at some additional locations, and it is a little bit dependent on what those dates look like. So typically I would say provincials runs on the BC Day long weekend, but we might add an additional date for an age group depending on what the permits look like. So we hope to have that out very soon. Within a week or two, we will have provincials locked up and released for everyone. Okay, that's that. And so that is the end of my presentation. And I feel like I've got through all of the slides. I nailed it in 54 minutes, minus the little hiccup that we had there at the beginning where I didn't have the chat turned on. Question, are provincials always August long weekend? They have been August long weekend for a very long time. However, if we do add another location, so let's say we were to host in an age group in Penticton or in Kamloops or in Parksville, it would likely be on a different weekend, but I'm not 100% sure about that. When is the first tournament? The first tournament starts in May, but again, refer to the competition calendar to see the specific dates. But we have High School Beach Open starts in May and runs through the beginning of June, depending on the age category. Our tournaments are only on weekends. We currently do not run any league play. It is just tournaments, and they are all on weekends. What is the earliest or latest games would be? So at our typical sand series events, usually the first game starts at 9 and the last game would end up around 4 or 5, depending on where you were in the draw or whether you lost along the way. So those are typically at our regular tournaments. That's what that would look like. Our provincial championships start at 8 a.m. For the first wave, and they would go until about 2 p.m. And then the next group would come in and play from like 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So something like that. National championships runs from like 9 to 3 every day. It's a really, really easy tournament. Is a rec player indoor VBC membership sufficient, or will it need to be upgraded to competitive membership? The rec indoor player membership is the minimum that you would need to participate, so you do not need to upgrade. They are all 1 day except for provincials. Yes, they are not. We don't have any 2 days other than provincial championships. And then there was a question about the Van Open main draw and qualifiers. So 75% of the teams will qualify based on the points that they have into the main draw at the Youth Van Open. If you do not have enough points, but you still want to try and play on the Friday before the tournament, we'll hold a qualifier tournament at Spanish Banks. And then we will play down until we only have enough teams left to get into the main draw, which is usually for girls, it's 4 teams, and for boys, it's 2 teams. And so we will play down in a tournament until we get to the semifinals, and then that will be the end of the tournament, and those teams will move into the main draw. Vancouver Open for 15U girls 2. So we only have enough space to run combined age groups. So if you were a 15U girl, you would compete in the 16U category. We don't have a 15U category at the Vancouver Open. We don't have enough space to run all of the age categories. So we run a 15U, 14U and 16U girls and a 14U and 16U boys in that tournament. Okay, that is all I have for this specific webinar. If you'd like to stick around, I will go through how to register for tournaments in Sport Lomo. We wanted to do this because typically clubs have been used to registering, or parents have been used to clubs registering teams into tournaments and might not be familiar with the system. So I did want to give an opportunity to show you how that works. We will also release a manual on how to register, but this will give you a chance to ask some questions along the way if you do have them, and then you'll be free to go. So I will start, and I'll keep an eye on the participant list, and if it drops significantly, maybe I don't have to finish going through this, but we'll see where it goes. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Volleyball BC, and you are going to click on the green register button, and that will take you to a login page where you're going to enter your username and password. If you don't have a username and password, there is an option to create one. So you can go through that process of creating a username and password. If you just follow the instructions when you're in there, it's pretty self-explanatory. You need to enter your name and email address and a password. One thing to note is after you do that, you will get an activation email to the email address that you used. Make sure you activate the account or you won't be able to purchase events. And again, feel free just to pop questions in the chat if you have any about this as we go through this, and I will stop and answer them. So once you log in, you're going to see a screen that looks something like this. Yours might look a little bit different if you already have a membership or if you played indoor club. If you see at the top middle of the screen, there's a small box that says Volleyball BC on it with a little drop down arrow. You want to make sure that that box says Volleyball BC and not your club. So lots of times what will happen when people go to Sport Lomo to log in, they'll have a cached version of the site and it will take you to their club portal, not the Volleyball BC portal. So that may say something like Kelowna Volleyball Club or Victoria Volleyball Association. And so if you go in there, you won't be able to find our events because our events show up under Volleyball BC. So make sure that that says Volleyball BC, and then you would click on the add in the events box. Just a couple questions in the chat here. Do both players have to have Sport Lomo accounts to register for an event or just the player registering? So the way that Sport Lomo is set up is neither player actually has to have an account. You can have a parent account that is your own, and then you can register the athletes into the tournament. So you don't have to have a membership to utilize Sport Lomo. Once you add players to tournaments, they will start showing up as options in your account. Just the same as they do for indoor clubs. So you could potentially under members see if you have a family of members that are playing, maybe a couple brothers and a sister, you would see 3 boxes where it says members. And they would each have each of the memberships for each of the children in there. Or lots of times what we'll see is we'll have a parent that's a coach and they'll have a child, and both of those will show up in there because they're utilizing the same account. So the players don't have to have Sport Lomo accounts to register. What will happen, and I'll show you at the end, is after you add them, they'll get an email saying that they need to complete their registration. And when they go to do that, they will create a Sport Lomo account if they don't have one. Someone did just ask a question about the high school. Is high school one grade specific or age grade specific? So we do grades in high school, not ages. So it's whichever grade you're in, and you would register in the older grade if you had a younger and an older. So a grade 10 and a grade 11 playing together would play as a grade 11. So a kid that skipped a grade has to play with older kids. They do, yeah, because it is based on the grade. Again, this event is we try to run it for fun. We like to try and have some school bragging rights attached to this. And I know that kids do get points from it, but there's a lot of exceptions. And if we try and manage all those exceptions, it becomes administratively very difficult to manage. And so we try and keep it nice and simple without a lot of exceptions in it. Okay, I'm just going to jump back over to Sport Lomo here. So you click the green button. So there's the Volleyball BC box at the top that says, make sure that says Volleyball BC. You're going to click on the add button, and then you're going to flip over under purchase events. So in purchase events, the first thing you're going to want to do is click on the filter options and search by group. And under group, you're going to want to select youth beach competitions. And the reason that you're going to do that is because I think currently in this registration system, we have about 150 events listed. So you're definitely going to want to search by group, and all of our beach competitions live in that section. So you'll be able to see all of them in there. If you know that there's a specific region that you're looking for, and earlier in the presentation, I mentioned the abbreviations that we use: LM and OK and FV and NO for North and IS for Island. If you type that in the event name, just that abbreviation, it will show you all the events for that specific region. So down here, this is Youth Beach Competition at the bottom. And from here, you're going to purchase events once you've filtered and you found them. So you click on the add button, and that button will add it to your basket. You can click on as many as you want. So let's say you want to go on every beach tournament in the Okanagan. You could just keep clicking add, and they will add them to your basket over here on the right-hand side, and you can see the running list. If you put the wrong one in, there's a little trash can beside it to take it back out of your basket. Please only push the add button once. If you push it multiple times, it will add multiple of those events into your basket. So if you ever see a note pop up saying that you've reached your quota for the event, that is because you pushed the button too many times. So just push it once. If you have two teams that you're registering, so let's say you have a set of twins and they each play with a different partner and you want to purchase two of them, you can purchase two of them. We do allow that. It will show up twice in your basket, but just be aware, if you keep pushing multiple times, it is going to keep adding it to your basket. And then you're just going to hit purchase events, or continue, sorry. This next screen is your purchaser information. So this is your information. So you're going to put your first name, last name, email address, city, province, phone number. So this is who's buying the event. It's not who's playing in the event, it's who's buying it. Then you're going to add your team information. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to confirm the event name at the top. Make sure that you're registering in the right event, or if you've purchased multiple events, which one this is, so that you can put the right partners in. You're going to enter your team name. Your team name, again, is your last name of the partners. So please don't make up a fun name. Please don't put their full names. Please don't put funny names. Like, it makes it very difficult for us, because when we download the registration list, that's how we populate the points document, and that's how we populate the draw. So it's very helpful for us if you only use the last names. And then if you are part of a beach club, so you don't have to be, it's not a requirement, but if you are, input the club name here, because what we will do is we will try and keep kids that are part of the same club out of the same pool when we make the draw. So if everybody is playing for Side Out Volleyball Club, we don't want to have an entire pool at 16 new girls that are all Side Out Volleyball kids, primarily because they play against each other all the time, and we want kids to be able to play against other competitions. So we'll move some teams around in the draw. So 1 second while I pop back into the chat here. So do both partners have to register or just one? So only one person has to purchase the event for both partners. So just one person does it, and then I'll show you how you register the players in a little bit here. If you registered for 13U for all tournaments so you don't lose your spot, but then later determine 14U is better, is there room in a given tournament? Can you move up? Sometimes it's possible, especially if you know in advance. We might be able to move people around. It's hard to say if 14U is full, so we reach the maximum number of teams that we can have in there, we wouldn't be able to move you up. But if there was room, we could certainly move you in. The tournaments cost the same, and if there's space, we'll move you. I'm having trouble with my account. Who can I contact? I'm assuming you're talking about Sport Lomo. There should be a help desk, but you can also email me or your regional manager if you're having trouble logging in, and we can try and connect you directly with our account manager with Sport Lomo if you can't get through on the service desk. Okay. So once you've moved past the name screen, this is where you enter your player information. So in here, you're going to enter all of the player data that's required. So the first name, the last name, email address, date of birth, gender, and phone number. And so we ask for all of that information. So the phone number specifically, if we need to call you at the tournament, or if we need to send an email to you about registration, that's why we need that data. Date of birth is so we can confirm that you're of the appropriate age category to participate in the tournament. It does not have to be the actual athlete's email address. If you're a parent registering your kid and you want to be the one that manages the communication, then feel free to put your own email address and phone number in there. That's okay. So again, player data, and then you're going to hit save. That will take you to player 2, where you're going to do the exact same thing. So all of the same data. If you notice over on the left-hand side of the screen, it shows the minimum number of players and it shows the players that are added in there. If you make a mistake or you want to edit any of the data, you can go back and click on the player name and it will take you back to the player that you entered the data in before. That's right there. And then once you've completed entering the players, you'll get a sign that says you've reached the maximum number of players. Let's just go back there for a sec. Maximum number of players, because we only allow 2. If you want to go back and edit any of the information again, you can click on the player names to the left side there, and then hit finish when you're done. And so this is going to take you to the payment screen. So there is a slide in here that I didn't put in because this event was free, so that I could show you all of this. But there is a payment screen in between where you'll enter your credit card info, and then you'll hit submit. And then once the payment is complete, it will bring you to this screen, which is basically a summary of what you just did. It talks about who paid, what the event was you purchased, and how much it was. And then this is the last section that I just wanted to say a note on. So all the players that you registered in the previous step are going to receive an email. It's going to come from, it'll say Volleyball BC member notification. And in there, it will say you've been added to a team to participate in a tournament. And it'll list what the tournament and the team is that they're on. And then there will be a link that tells you need to click on that link to go finish registering for the tournament. And so what happens then is it will take you to Sport Lomo where you'll log in. And if you don't have a login, you'll go through the same process that I noted earlier, and you'll create a login. And then it'll bring you to a dashboard, and there will be a section that pops up that says team, and you'll be able to accept your place on the team. If you have the appropriate membership, you will just be able to accept the spot. It'll be a click, just a check mark. If you don't, then you'll have to go ahead and purchase one of the memberships. It will tell you that you need to buy it'll tell you need to buy the youth recreational membership to complete the registration process. And that's it. That's how you register. We will make sure there's a how-to document available for everyone so that when you go through the process, you're able to do it seamlessly. Excuse me. If you have any problems or you have any questions, you can always email your regional manager. Again, refer back to the original email that I sent about the webinar. It's got all the contacts at the bottom, or you can find them on our website in the contact area. And ask them any questions you have about youth beach volleyball tournaments that I did not cover, or if you've forgotten something along the way. Just to pop back into the chat one last time, how many tournaments for 12U? It will be the same number as everybody else. So we will just add a group onto the tournament schedule, and so there will be 2 in the Lower Mainland. I think the regions have 3, and then provincial championships. Are refunds or cancellations for cancellations or other sudden scheduling conflicts available? If you have something that comes up, please contact your regional manager if it's outside of the refund window. So we're not terrible people, and if something comes up and you need a refund and it makes sense to us, then we'll look at taking care of that for you. I think that's everything. That is all the questions. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you spending the time. I know this last section put us over the hour that we had for the webinar, but I thought it was important that we had an opportunity to go through the Sport Lomo piece. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email us. We did record this and we will post this webinar so you can refer back to it. And again, all of the information that we shared will be posted online in one area of our website or another. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and have a good night.